A man convicted of manslaughter in 2019 has been arrested. The Mountain America Credit Union robber was sentenced, and a driver overturned her car while driving distracted.
You're watching St. George News at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Amy Bennett. 47-year-old Christopher Anderson was arrested in Washington City last weekend, facing a manslaughter charge linked to a 2019 plane crash that claimed the life of one passenger. Now let's turn to Cody Blowers with more on this story.
A traffic stop on Interstate 15 in Washington City over the weekend led to the arrest of a man wanted on a federal warrant issued out of Arizona. On Sunday, the pilot, 47-year-old Christopher Adam Anderson, was arrested in Washington County shortly after 2 p.m. Anderson is facing federal charges, including 1 count of involuntary manslaughter and 1 count of registration violations involving an aircraft. The case was filed following a plane crash reported on January 13, 2019, involving a Piper aircraft that crashed near Kingman, Arizona. The aircraft was carrying 2 occupants, including Anderson, the pilot, and a 38-year-old passenger and owner of the plane who was killed in the crash. And Anderson is scheduled to make an initial appearance in U.S. District Court in St. George later this week. Until then, he remains on a federal hold in Washington County.
Thanks, Cody. Jason Grace, a 54-year-old St. George resident, has been sentenced to 2 years in federal prison for robbing a credit union last summer. Grace entered Mountain America Credit Union, demanded money, and fled with over $4,000. He was arrested the next day in Mesquite, Nevada, thanks to an email blast that the St. George Police Department sent out with pictures and descriptions of the suspect and his vehicle. Following Grace's hearing, U.S. Attorney Trina Higgins released a statement saying that the robbery was not a spontaneous act of violence, but instead Grace carefully considered it for approximately a week, adding that no individual should be threatened or intimidated at their place of business. A woman driving down Diagonal Street in St. George lost control and crashed into a parked car, causing her car to roll. Here's Chris Reed with more on the crash.
A woman was able to walk away after an out-of-control crash into a parked car on Diagonal Street resulted in her SUV rolling and leaving her upside down. Police say the woman was driving south when she dropped an item, went down to pick it up, and then lost control of the vehicle, hitting the unoccupied pickup parked at a construction site. That site happened to be where nearly 3 years ago, multiple homes burned down in a large fire.
Thanks, Chris. In a recent Springdale Town Council meeting, a plan was approved that lays out the future of recreation and development. Stephanie DeGraw has more on what this master plan encompasses.
Springdale Town Council recently passed a master recreation plan. It covers parks, trails, open spaces, and recreational buildings. The plan considers population growth rate, nightly hotel guests, and Zion National Park visitors. Council member Jack Burns had this to say.
Really important to recognize that not only is Springdale kind of recognized as this recreation hub, just being its proximity to Zion National Park, but also all the other planning efforts that are happening around Springdale and in this greater Zion region as it relates to recreation opportunities and what's being developed.
The Pinyon jay population is rapidly declining. Here's Alicia Lundgren with what southern Utahns can do to help the species from dying off.
Pinyon jay numbers have declined an estimated 85% since the 1960s and could drop another 50% by 2035. But biologists and conservationists say southern Utahns can support the species by planting native plants, particularly pinyon pine trees, and by keeping their trees healthy, by giving them plenty of water and spreading 2 to 4 inches of mulch around the trunk's base. Additionally, individuals can help researchers gather data by participating in citizen science initiatives.
Thank you for watching St. George News at 5. I'm Amy Bennett with St. George News, your #1 source for local news.
This has been St. George News at 5.